would like to welcome the audience to the June 21st, 2022 Parish Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Would you all please stand while Mr. LaSalle Williams says the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance?
Dear God, we thank you for allowing us another blessed day. Thank you for life, for health, and for strength. And thank you for watching over us to let us see another great meeting. And we pray, Lord, for those who suffer throughout this land tonight. Thank you for letting us allow us another Father's Day, serve with our wives, our families, and our grandkids as well. Thank you for all your blessings. We pray for this board and we pray for this staff. We also pray for those who come tonight seeking help from this board. We just pray let the Holy Spirit guide us and lead us that we might do that which is right in our sight. This we offer as our prayer this night in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Christy, would you please call the roll?
Chair Kirk Smith.
Here.
Vice Chair Julia Dickerson.
Here.
Ms. Latricia Cobb.
Here.
Mr. Keith DeBrock.
Here.
Ms. Sharon Felicia.
Here.
Ms. Janelle Hyatt. Here. Mr. Art Little.
Here.
Mr. Jake Porsche.
Here.
Mr. Carl Vincent. Mr. LaSalle Williams.
Here.
Ms. Deanne Whiting.
Here.
Thank you, Christy. This is an 11-member board. It will take a majority of those members present to grant or deny any request heard tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless that vote might affect the outcome. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the requests from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone and state your name, address, and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicants need to fill out a blue request to appear form located in the back of this room. The form must be given to a staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. Opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there is a large group wanting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speaker request forms are submitted, the time allowed for individual speakers will be limited based upon the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. The exceptions and variances are final tonight. The rezoning cases will go before the police jury for final action on Thursday, June 23rd, 2022. This meeting is being filmed by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.calcasiewparish.gov, Channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Vinton, DeQuincy, and Gillis, Channel 99 in Corliss and Grand Lake. Please either turn off or silence all electronic devices. Take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 17th, 2022 Planning and Zoning meeting. Motion by Ms. Dickerson, second by Ms. Hyatt. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Item 6, variances. 6A, take appropriate action on the following application. 2941 Agnes Road in Ward 3. Variance to decrease the side and rear yard setback requirements for a pond. Side yard required 50 feet, requesting 31. Rear yard required 50 feet, requesting 36. Applicant Gerald DeBarge, VAR-0422-0210. I will entertain a motion for approval with the conditions. Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is in South Lake Charles and encompasses 3 acres of land. The applicant recently dug a 1/4 acre pond on the property that does not meet the setback requirements. Therefore, the applicant is requesting a setback variance for side yard requesting 31 feet and rear yard requesting 36 feet. Because there is no evidence of a hardship, the staff recommends the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that all appropriate permits must be obtained, that the dirt must remain on site, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering. I would like to inform the board that the applicant has recently obtained a permit for the pond.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation? Please come to the microphone.
Gerald DeBarge, 2941 Agnes Road. Good to be here. So I didn't get a permit like a few others I see. And I've learned a few things about parish government. Essentially, my contractor dug the pond. No soil, no topsoil or any kind of soil left the site. You know, we planted grass on it and whatnot to keep it from eroding for the time being. I've spoken to all neighbors that border the property and then some. They've signed saying they have no objection. I copied the variance right off the sign, exactly what I was looking for. And I have the signatures of my neighbors. As far as if I had to fill it back in, it would cost me twice what I've, you know, again, half as much again what I've paid, which is a big expense to me. So.
Any questions for Mr. DeBarge? None? Thank you, Mr. DeBarge.
Question for
Ms.
the
Portia.
staff. On the site plan, I'm seeing the 36 feet, which is what's requesting. It would be on the south side. It's showing 31 feet.
31 feet's going to be
Southeast side.
the east side, and the
Yes.
south is going to be the 36. His road is written upside down a little bit, so
Okay.
the north is.
So it's 31 feet at the closest?
Right.
Okay. I should have asked the applicant, but the signatures are of the neighbors directly adjacent around him? Joining property owners?
That was my understanding.
Do we want to call him back and ask him?
Mr. DeBarge. The question is, are these signatures from the neighbors directly around you?
Yes, absolutely. Miss Latour, her son Scott, or my, on each side, on the east side and the south side. And then Mr. Christopher is the coroner on the southeast side, yeah. I think I got a few more just for, I was out canvassing the neighborhood. But yes, the people who are adjacent to the pond have signed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. DeBarge.
I got a question.
Mr.
So,
Mr. Vincent?
You didn't, you dug the pond just for a pad for a house or something? Is that what it's for?
No, that's the difficult part. I think there are 17 ponds within a half-mile of me, and it's all about elevation in that area. They built their ponds to build their houses up. Well, my house is built in the 70s, and the elevation is low, okay? When we had the flood in May, I think I'd been in the house for 2 weeks. I just bought it. I flooded 8 inches. I went around. None of my neighbors flooded. I think one may have gotten an inch. They didn't have to change any sheetrock. Everyone else is either on elevated house pads, or they're mobile homes that are up 4 or 5 feet, well above me. So my dirt contractor, sort of a last-ditch effort, we did a mini New Orleans. We put a levee around the house and the pond. The pond is a retention pond. So it's not, this isn't some dream pond of mine. It's an issue. It's like New Orleans. If the water gets too high in there, I have to do something. I dug a ditch to the west to a parish-maintained drainage ditch for the overflow. If there's well, that'll keep the pond level. Now, if the problem we have there is flood water, is from the ship channel. There's a little gully there. It backs up all the way. Drainage is great there. The parish put, years ago, on the east property line, there's a 265-foot underground culvert. It's 24 inches in diameter. It's open on each end. So the drainage is good. My problem is elevation. And also the issue is, as new people build, they bring in topsoil. I mean, they build up their property. I don't blame them. But I know that every dump truck load that they bring in is a dump truck load of water in my living room, worst case scenario. So I have a little bit of insurance with the levee and the pond. And I made the pond, I wanted the levee as small as possible, and I wanted the pond kind of as big as possible because that's my insurance, So that, I did not hire a civil engineer. I hired dirt contractors. But I mean, I know if I have a gallon jug of milk and I poke a hole in the side, the water's not going to get any lower than that. I mean, the milk, when it leaks out, it's going to stay that level, So it's not a great situation, but it's the best I could do considering I'm the lowest elevation in the neighborhood. I mean, out of 20 or 30 houses on Sauché, Agnes, and Richard, I was the only one that flooded to the extent that I did. So that's what I got.
Do you have a pump?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, it hadn't rained hardly a lick, so that's not been a problem.
Yeah, it's true.
So.
Ms. Porcher?
Mr. Barsh, would this create a hardship for you to relocate the pond, in your opinion?
Yes, sir. It would, I think it would, to change the shape or to move it is going to, I think, increase erosion inside the pond. As far as where the levees go around, the only waterfall on them is from the top of the levee down into the pond. Only watershed, erosion, whatnot. It's not bad there. Now, from my house, which that whole area, drains into the pond, I have to take measures, So if I move the pond, I'm going to have a bigger area of a levee.
Right.
A greater area. So,
You said you did hire a contractor to do this?
yes.
Yeah.
Family marriage.
Okay.
it been tested yet?
It's had no, gotten anywhere close to being full, you know,
Good.
so, yeah.
No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Barge.
Okay.
Mr. Borchett.
Just a quick question for the staff. I know these, I can understand Mr. Bart's hardship here. I just, for us as a board, I don't want this to become the playbook. You know, go dig your pond, and then, you know, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. But if there's any way to get the word out to these contractors that are digging these ponds, that, hey, you know, this is the new guidelines. You can't dig within 50 feet. Because, I mean, I don't know how many contractors there are doing dirt work. I know a few of them locally. But just getting this information to the guys that are doing the excavation, that let them be aware. I mean, the codes have changed.
Ms. Tunn did a great thing today. She revised our application and put that in bold letters and red on the application that 50 foot is the setback.
Good job, Tim.
And so,
Benford.
you know, but, you know, obviously, you know, we have our CGov channel, and we can do some public information out there to folks and put it out there. So,
Sure.
yeah, be glad to.
Okay. Ms. Christie, roll call vote?
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb? Yes. Mr. DeBrock?
Yes.
Ms. Felicia?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Porsche?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah.
Ms. Whining?
Yes.
10 for.
Motion passes. Item 6B, take appropriate action on the following application. 592 West Telephone Road in Ward 1, variance to allow accessory buildings. The maximum square footage allowed, 2,000 square feet, requesting a total of 4,190 square feet. And to decrease the front yard setback requirement for an accessory building, required 60 feet, requesting 30 feet. Applicant Donald Dotson, edX. This is VAR-0522-0211. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Motion by Ms. Dickerson, second by Coach Williams. Ms. Tunn.
This property is in Moss Bluff on West Telephone Road and encompasses approximately 1.67 acres of land. The applicant intends to construct a 40 by 50 accessory building for additional storage on the property. Adding the new accessory building and with the existing personal use buildings, the total square footage exceeds the maximum square footage allowed. The parish ordinance requires all personal use covers and accessory buildings to be calculated as accessory uses. Also, the applicant is requesting to decrease the front yard setback requirement for the newly proposed building. The front yard setback requirement is 60 feet. The applicant is requesting 30 feet. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation? Okay. We have no blue cards on this matter. Are there any questions by the board, or the staff, or the applicant? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion passes. Item 6C, take appropriate action on the following application. 1207 Ferris Road in Ward 6, variance to decrease the side and rear yard setback requirements for a pond. Side yard required 50 feet, requesting 20. Rear yard required 50 feet, requesting 30. The applicant, Earl Bunch edX. This is VAR-0522-0212. I will entertain a motion for approval with the conditions. Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is in DeQuincy on Ferris Road and encompasses 3.9 acres of land. The applicant recently dug a pond on the property for a house pad. Although the dirt remained on site, the pond does not meet the required 50-foot setback from the property lines. The applicant is requesting the side yard of 20 feet, rear yard of 30 feet. Because there is no evidence of a hardship, the staff recommends the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that all appropriate permits must be obtained, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering. I've also received a letter of no objection by 2 of the property owners, next to Mr.
Thank you, Ms.
Fudge.
Dunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation?
Yes, my name is Earl Bunch. I live at 1207 Ferris Road in DeQuincy. And I do have a list of, with my neighbors, Jeff Royer and Daniel LeBron has signed, said there was no hindrance to their property at all. I have taken water from Mr. LeBron's property, put in my pond, and took the water that was going in the past over to Mr. Royer's property and diverted it to a natural drainage on fence line. So, the cost of redoing this is gonna be costing about $30,000. And we just finished the house, and we had obtained our permits approval on everything we did. And I feel like, you know, the pond was dug for a foundation for our home, for a shop and the home itself. And now we just moved in about a week ago. And as far as the hardship on something like this here, financially, we went $50,000 over what we should have spent originally for the home. And it's gonna cost us quite a bit more to backfill this pond to get it in within the regulations. But if I'd have known about the permit to begin with, I would have gotten it, and I would have stayed within the regulations. But I had no knowledge of it at the time, so we dug the pond on May 8th of 2020.
Any questions for the applicant? Mr. Porchek?
Say May 8th of 2020? What,
Yes, May
What-
8th, 2020.
what triggered this? A neighbor?
The neighbor had a call on his pond, and then this one came up also when they did an inspection.
I think last
neighbor-
month we addressed
Last
the
month,
other
we
one.
addressed
I
the
got
other
you.
one. Yeah,
Okay,
Mr.
so this
Royer's
is
property.
connected.
Right.
Okay,
Did
all
y'all
right.
dig them at the same time, you and Mr. Royer?
Yeah, we dug at the same time. We were watching him dig, same time we were watching us dig.
Okay.
So, and neither one of us had knowledge we had to have a permit.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant?
So-
If I would have known, I would have guided him in the right direction if he
So,
wouldn't.
so did Mr. Royer approve yours?
Yes.
I would hope so. All right. And then
I got
the
rid of
other
his-
property owner behind, you've got approval?
Yes,
Okay.
the property to the south is where I'm taking the water off his property and cleared it and diverted water to my pond and diverted water to Ferris Road, in order to keep it off of Mr. Rose's property.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions for the staff? Ms. Christie, roll call vote.
Mr. DeBrock,
Yes.
Ms. Felicia,
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt, Mr. Little,
Yes.
Mr. Porsche,
Yes?
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Winey,
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson,
Yes.
and Ms. Cobb. 10 for,
Motion passes. Item 6D, take appropriate action on the following application. 4986 Corliss Drive in Ward 4. Variance to decrease the side and rear yard setback requirements for a pond. Side requirements required 50 feet, requesting 30 feet. Rear yard required 50 feet, requesting 25 feet. Applicant Andrew Grigsby Edux. This is VAR-0522-0214. I will entertain a motion for approval with the conditions. Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is in Carlos on Carlos Drive and encompasses 4 acres of land. The applicant recently dug a pond on the property for a house pad and leveling of their property. Although the dirt remained on site, the pond does not meet the required 50-foot setback. They're requesting side yard setback of 30 feet and rear yard setback of 25 feet. Because there is no evidence of a hardship, the staff recommends the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that all appropriate permits must be obtained, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation?
Andrew Rigsby, 4986 Carter's Drive. Yeah, so my intentions were not to be that close to the property line. It's been a while since I dug a pond. Last time I dug it, it was 25 feet easements for the setbacks. And I was always told from my developers that, you know, they did a lot of my pads, that as long as the dirt stayed on site, we didn't have to pull a permit. So I was just misled, and here we are now. Yeah, so for me, also like everyone else, I'm right in the middle of my house being built, so it would be a heavy cost to fill it back in, and even try to move it at this time. Also, my permit was stopped to build my house, so I was wanting to get that, you know, if I have to fill it back in or move it, at least let me continue building the home and give me more time maybe to fill it in, you know, if that's the case. But right now, I went in with 25-foot setbacks, and as long as the dirt was on site, I thought I didn't need a permit.
Any questions for the applicant?
How long ago did you build the pond?
It's been at least a year, I think. It's not been that long. I think they changed from 25 to 50. I think it was 2019 or 2020, I think is when that was done. But with the hurricane and everything going on, it's just something I didn't realize had changed.
You said there was an existing pond there before.
So what we
That's what I
did when we
read.
cleared the property, it was all wooded. You can see the lot behind me. It's actually my neighbor that's here too. So when we cleared it out, we were just clearing the land, and we found the previous owner said he used to fish back there. So as we were clearing the property, we'd come up on a low area that held water, but it was only about knee deep. So I just figured that was a pond he was talking about, and I kind of was like, you know, that'd be a good spot for drainage, being it was already naturally draining there already. I figured it was a good spot.
I got a question for staff. My information, the statement he made, if you build a pond and you don't remove the dirt from that area, you don't need a permit?
No, you do need a permit. But it's considered, by definition under the ordinance, if you don't remove the dirt from the property, then it's considered a pond. If you remove the dirt off-site and transport it off-site, it's a bar pit. That's the difference. That's our definition for the parish.
Staff, he said something that got my attention. Did y'all stop his permit from him building a house?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check and see if there's a stop
Is that what you said, sir?
They've actually released it when I filled out the paperwork to do this.
Okay.
They did
Okay.
release
All
it.
right.
Okay.
Yes, it is released, but I just didn't know if it was gonna, if I have to fill it back in, if
that would
stop
affect
me,
it. Okay.
affect me again from continue building. You see in the pictures, that's where my house is at. I mean, it's in the black end phase.
Okay, Mr. Porsche.
The existing pond or drainage area, was that at the 25-foot mark?
So it was before the 25-foot mark. It just as my dirt guy was digging, I guess he just got carried away, you know, with not paying attention to everything. But my setbacks were 25 foot originally when I did lay the pond out, and I laid it from my front property line back, which I should have just found my back property line and laid it out from there. So I
Right.
just pulled it from my front property line.
Have you spoken with your neighbors?
Yes, I have. There's only one neighbor that my pond is near. He actually owns the land, you know, to the north of me and to the west of me, which is where my pond is.
Okay. Just for me, that's unless we're just gonna keep rubber stamping the neighbors being supportive is a key piece for me. Is that?
Absolutely.
I don't know if we could get that maybe 30 days. You're able to move forward on your house, but if that would
Yeah,
be
I mean,
something
my neighbor is here
at
today.
some point, for me, I
Okay.
just have to draw a line and say, if the adjoining neighbors are supportive, you didn't know of the ordinance, then I can get on board, but not knowing.
Is your neighbor here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I think he's we have a blue card also in favor of Leighton Eloy.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, well, that might answer the question. Okay. I'd like to hear from the neighbor.
Yes, sir.
While the gentleman's coming up, yeah, this property is not far from where I'm living. I'm familiar with the people who owned it before that. And at one time, probably about 20 years ago, they quit mowing it and keeping it up. And that little pond has been there a long time. I mean, it's been there maybe 30 years, and it wasn't much of a pond, but it was a low spot in the ground. And there were some ditches that went to it from that particular area back in the day.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Leighton Eloy. I live on 4316 Thompson Road, on the property to the north and to the west. The pond, as far as 25 feet variance, doesn't bother me. I'm good with the 25 feet. But as of right now, I got a survey done, and it's already 15 feet on my property. It's not 25 feet from the property line to the west. It's 15 feet over the property line. So I'm good with the 25-foot variance, but either way, the pond has to move to the east. I was gonna put a drainage ditch along that west side. If you look to the pond, there's a pond to the south, and you can see a ditch leaving that guy's pond. He wants to be able to drain across my property, and there's a ditch that runs along the entire north side that ties into a ditch in the back to the west, and that goes all the way back to Shoe Peak Bayou. So I'm gonna pay to get a ditch dug down my property line, but I can't do that right now with the pond where it's located.
Said the pond is 15 feet onto your side?
According to the survey, I don't have my survey with me, but I did just get it done probably in the last 2 months, and I have it, I can get a copy if you need it.
Question for the staff. If we approve the 25-foot offset, then that would be a private matter for them to figure out from here?
Yeah, if you approve this site plan that says 25 feet from those property lines, that's what he's got to be.
Right,
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Eloy?
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Any further questions?
I want to
You're not ready to?
I want to echo what Jake said. You know, it feels like a lot of people rely on their contractors, which I would. And it'd be really nice if they'd give them the right information. I mean, because I'd rely on my contractor. I mean, it's hard because these people keep coming up here and it would be at their cost. I don't know. Just echoing your sentiment.
Especially since it's changed in the last couple of years. It was 25 and now it's
He's gotta
changed to
get it at
50. So
25.
that's news that some people don't have.
So, okay. Ms. Cobb?
Understand, you're saying if we approve it, it's for the 25 feet,
That's correct.
okay? But the private matter would be the 15 feet would be between the two
That's
of them.
between them.
Okay.
That's correct.
Any other questions? Ms. Christie, roll call vote.
Ms. Felicia?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt? Yes. Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Forshey?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah.
Ms. Whining?
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. DeBrock?
Yes.
10 for.
Motion passes. Okay, Okay, item 7, exceptions. Item 7A, take appropriate action on the following application, 4500 block of East Preon Lake Road in Ward 3, exception to allow a 3-year extension of an existing borrow pit, total 15-acre pit, applicant East Preon Lake Properties LLC, EX-0422-0140. I will entertain a motion for approval. Motion
Second.
by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
Property is located in East Lake Charles off of East Preon Lake Road and encompasses about approximately 40 acres of land. In 2007, the applicant received approval to excavate a 15-acre borrow pit. The approval was granted with the condition that the exception was for 10 years or when the excavation was complete. In 2017, the applicant was granted a 3-year extension. The 3-year time limit has expired, therefore the applicant is requesting an additional 3 years due to the pit being utilized by a local construction company. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development. That permitting is subject to a letter of no objection from Gravity Drainage District Number 4 of Ward 3, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? Okay. We do have a blue card in favor of it, but I think this may be the wrong agenda item. Trey Klein? Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Okay. We have no blue cards on this agenda item. Any questions or concerns by the board? Questions for the staff? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, the motion carries. Item 7B, take appropriate action on the following application. 3559 Highway 90 West in Ward 7, exception to allow commercial development, outdoor shooting range, applicant Krause and Manigan Lumber Company LLC, EX-0522-0142. I will entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is in northwest Sulphur and is zoned agricultural. Currently, the 15 acres on the property is an existing privately owned shooting range. The applicant intends to open the outdoor shooting range to security contractors, law enforcement officers, and firearm training instructors. An outdoor shooting range is not a permitted use in agricultural zoning district. Therefore, the applicant is requesting an exception in order to move forward with this project. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted. The staff has also received a letter of opposition that has been uploaded to your tablets.
Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? Is the applicant present? Okay, thank you. We have a blue card in opposition, Chris Pippin.
Good evening, board members. We sent out letters on the 14th of June.
Name
Each
and
every one
address
of
for
you
the
was
record, sir.
Sir?
Name and
I'm
address
sorry, I
for the record.
apologize. Forgive me, I'm a little exhausted. Chris Pippin, address is 2221 WPA Road, Sulphur, Louisiana. Thank you, sir. So I trust all of you have received the letters we sent out on June 14th. If you have not, I have extra copies. Okay. So we are here just, we're not going to go over, I'm not going to go over what was written in the letter. Y'all can look at that over. Point is, we're in opposition to it due to the noise that's going to be produced from this range. Seeing more and more details on it, it's going to be police, firemen, enforcement officers. That's going to be a lot of noise, a lot of high-powered weapons. that is very visible and sound from many areas and for many, excuse me, many distances from that area. As it stands right now, the Lake Charles Gun Club is where all those members do that training. I see no reason why they have to move from that location. There's nobody there for them to bother. Many of our neighbors in our area are veterans and elderly folk. Two of them which we are also representing is the Butlers of 2231 WPA and the Raggios of 3525 Quibido. Both are elderly couples. Was not able to make it here today. They have voiced their concern, told us about the noise they can hear. I'm probably the furthest from the location. I wear hearing aids, and without my hearing aids in my home, I can hear the gunfire. I'm not sure if y'all have looked at the videos or not that was provided. It's a very peaceful time. You're sitting out there, you're minding your business, and you start hearing this rapid fire. That's going to be all hours of the day into the night. I would ask each and every one of you to put yourself in my position, sitting at your own home and your own property, enjoying the day, enjoying your family time, barbecue, pool, whatever it is that you may have. And I want you to hear that constant boom, boom, and then rapid fire boom. It's no longer peaceful. So, not to go into a whole lot of details, hopefully that kind of explains why we're here and we're asking what we're asking.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Pippin?
My question was, 'cause I saw the sign, so how far back is it? It's off of Highway 90, it's not up at their fishing and hunting place.
No, sir. No, sir. It's right off of Highway 90. The fishing and hunting place, I think that's the Big Woods.
Yeah.
That's where that sign is. Big Woods is way further, that's north going towards DeQuincy, I believe.
I just want to make sure I have the right location. How far back off of Highway 90 is it?
I'm not sure. I can't judge looking at it. I know it said 15 acres, but.
Oh, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, we are also going to call the applicant back up. He
Yeah,
may
we
have
will.
have those answers better for you.
Okay, that'll be fine.
But you do hear it now.
Absolutely. I mean, we heard it late into the night, and the only reason why we're no longer hearing it, because we contacted our police director, Mr. Bears, and he explained the situation. We sent him the video of the noise that was being produced. At that time, the noise ceased. So we know we got their attention. We didn't want to reach out to the police officers. We live in the country. We understand that every so often you might hear gunfire, but not at that rate, and not at that. And at the end of the day, there's going to be high-powered weapons, obviously, now that we know it's the police force and law enforcement, things like that. That's not going to be just your average
Mr.
small
Pippin,
arms.
just to
Yes,
be
ma'am.
clear, it's already a range. It's a private range right now. It's been like that for several years is what I'm understanding, and staff, correct me if I'm wrong, but.
No. If there's been a range out there, I've never heard it. The neighbors across from them never heard it. What prompted my attention, we were outside, heard a couple of gunshots. No big deal, right? We're in the country, somebody shooting a gun. Well, then we started hearing it more and more and more and more and more. So I drove down the road. At that time was when I seen the sign, and it was right across from the driveway, and I was like, this is where this is coming from. From there, I believe it was the Comos, they contacted my wife, explained the situation, sent her the video, and that's how all this come about. If that range has been there for the last couple of years, it's been inactive. And I also know that, so we were members of the Lake Charles Gun Club. I know for a fact that's where Sulphur and Lake Charles and some of the state officials go and train. At no point in time have they been out there training where we live.
Correct, because it's private. Staff, can y'all clarify that for us? Is that?
Well, the applicant will be
Well,
coming
that's
up
true.
after.
The applicant can do that,
So.
yeah.
So I guess, if I may ask a question, I'm not sure how this works. If this has been a range this long, why are we now going through what we're going through?
It's my understanding that they're now trying to get it for security companies or police, law enforcement. They're not opening it up to the public. It's for those corporations. But it's private right now, and that's what I'm understanding. But I guess the staff can clarify, the applicant can clarify that. So thank you.
So again, that just pushes me that much more of against doing this. If we're talking about bringing private companies in, again, I ask you to put yourself in my shoes. go sit in your backyard and listen to a gun constantly go off. Okay, it ain't like they're gonna go out there and fire 3 or 4 rounds and leave.
Thank you, Mr. Pippin.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Mr. Pippin, how many people are here with you today that actually feels the way you do? Could,
I know my wife is here. I'm not sure who else.
Just
Like I
one
said, I
blue
spoke
card?
on the behalf of the 2 other two other neighbors that were here. Again, they're elderly people. Mr. Butler is a veteran of war, and anytime a gun is fired outside, that man walks outside and looks around. He wants to know what's going on. He can hear it in his home. He's further than I am. And he came to me and said, "Are you shooting?" I said, "No, sir, it's not me. Somebody across the way." The only time I ever discharge a firearm on our property is if there's some kind of varmint or snake or something of that nature. And if I have time, I notify him. Most of the time I don't, which he'll come out.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pippin. Would the applicant come to the podium, please?
Good evening. My name is David Fontana. I'm Vice President of Krause and Manigan Lumber Company, LLC. I appreciate the gentleman's comment. Thank him for coming here and letting us know of his concerns. Krause and Manigan is a privately held company. We have various entities. This is a over 900-acre farm that we acquired within the last 10 years. Since we've acquired it, we have improved upon it, the drainage, the cleaning up, as we do all of our property. The purpose of this range is solely for a membership of private held security companies that cannot participate in law enforcement Calcasieu Parish Regional Training Academy shooting. Sulphur's shooting range is dilapidated. Lake Charles Police Department does not have a shooting range. They either go to Lake Charles or other private areas. This is not open to the Calcasieu Parish Regional Training Academy for their people or their population. They have a multi-million-dollar facility. Now, how do I know that? I also work for Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office. I'm a livestock deputy part-time. I live on the north side of Sam Houston State Park. My neighbors, because they own property, I hear them shoot. Now, sometimes it gets your attention. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But in this atmosphere, what we're looking at, we're just basically trying to provide a mild service. In today's atmosphere that we have, you just can't go to a police academy or training and walk in there and ask them, hey, can we use your facility? It's just not going to happen. They don't have enough time to take care of their own. So I would appreciate it if you would consider it. These concerns of us shooting into hours of the night, I will address that as in such that we will not shoot after dark. We will not shoot prior to sunrise. These people who have contacted us with this need, they have come from high recommendations and high skill matters. We've gone through all of the requirements as far as making sure they have shade, they have proper backstops, there's first aid out there. And most of these people are not just someone who would drive up or come to our office and say, we want to go shoot out there. That's not the case. It's not open to the public, nor is it going to be. The gentleman with me is a veteran, and he is overseeing this project under the direction of the president of the company. So he is very skilled in weapons, various types. So we're not getting into an arena that we have no knowledge of. We have about 7 different divisions with our company. This is a small one. You mentioned the Big Woods Fish and Game Preserve. Out there, we have a skeet range. We also have a small rifle range for those people who are members. We've had good luck with it. And the way we run it, when you're a member, if you want to sight in your rifle for deer season or you want to shoot skeet, it's available, but it's scheduled. That being said, this particular location, it comes under scheduling. It's no drive up and go. We run everything on a schedule, and that's the way it's going to be. Thank you. Any questions?
I do.
Ms. Whiting?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she had her hand up. Go ahead.
I think I read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, is it written somewhere in the application about hours being sun up to sundown? Is that correct? I noticed you just said scheduling.
I saw that today when I looked at it. I did not fill out the application. That will not happen.
Who actually filled out the application?
Mr. William Todd Hayes. And that's probably an oversight for consideration of those people who are sleeping late or are working days. I've worked graveyards for years back in the past, and I understand their concerns, but this is a controlled environment. This is not something that you can go down and buy tickets to, go in and participate in.
Okay, so Mr. Pippin mentioned that this range was possibly in operation before today to some extent. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Well, we have had people go out there and shoot, but realize we own almost 1,000 acres out there. So if we want to shoot on our property, is that a problem?
No, I'm just asking you the question.
Ma'am?
I said I'm just asking you the question.
I understand. We shot on the property. But when we figured out where we were going with this, we pulled the reins in and said, wait a minute. Let's go to the variance board. Let's go to this body. Because there's some gray area, and that may not be the right term on my part, but there's some different areas where you can call something a club, and you can kind of veer off of what's right. So we want to do the right thing. We want it blessed by Calcasieu Parish.
Thank you.
Mr. Bourget.
My question was following Ms. Dickerson's statements about it currently being a private club, currently in operation, but he answered that.
I don't, based on what I think I'm gathering from Mr. Fontana, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's privately used. I don't think it's necessarily a club.
No, and in that term, because it's a membership, Big Woods Fish and Game Preserve, that's a membership only. No, it's not open to the public. Mm-hmm. So this is a shooting range by membership.
Mr. Fontaine, the 900 acres, 1,000 acres, is that where the range itself is?
The range is right at 1,000 feet into the property. And it has bounds of 1/4 mile plus in either shooting direction. And it also has a berm that is over 70 feet wide, 15 feet tall, and it has 1,000-pound, 6-foot round hay bales behind this berm.
The reasoning for having it the 1,000 feet off of Highway 90 instead of the 2,000 feet that it could go. Can you move that thing further south to get it away that much further? I'm just asking questions in regards to where it is located next to these residents.
Well, we run cattle out there. So, it is on the northern border of our cattle pasture. We don't want to shoot any of our cows. So, that's the primary location. One, you have water source. It's on the entrance, one of the entrance roads there.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, well, first was a statement, you know, back when I was a member of Big Woods, I enjoyed shooting skeet out there, and I couldn't hit anything, and same thing with with the rifles. I thought it was a really nice range. Really enjoyed it. Did y'all not think about maybe just expanding that instead of opening up another one?
Well, out at what we call the Bryan Farm, where Big Woods is located, that's a separate business. And, you know, it just, for sake of control, we have 4 employees out there at Big Woods, 2 bodies of water, and with Mr. Hayes overseeing this and the location, it just makes it on this farm with the number of acres that are there and the buffers that are already there, to us, is more logical. I mean, Sam Houston State Park is 1,100 acres plus or minus, and for a number of years, the state had a range out there.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Fontana.
Thank you.
Oh, Jake, you have a question?
Just comments on gun range.
Hold on, Jake, I'm sorry. We finished with
Yeah,
the
we're finished with
Yes,
Mr.
thank
Fontana, I'm sorry.
It seems to be in a secluded area. My experience, most experience with gun range, they used to have one right by the Mallard Cove Golf Course. And that was next to Chenault. And they would be shooting. It was unfortunate sometimes you were about to tee off, but it wasn't, I don't know what guns they were shooting, but that's in my memory now. That's been sold to Chenault. But I mean, we could see them shooting. I think if the berm is properly made, I didn't ever feel unsafe out there. I know we need these type of facilities in the day and age. I've got 3 young girls. I want as many security guards that are trained to do this type of thing as possible if there is an incident in the schools or public places. So I'm not sure if this is the right spot for it, but I'm all for ranges being here and more people being trained safely to defend us, defend ourselves.
I can agree with that.
Any other questions? I'd just make a comment based on what we heard is they're asking for a private shooting place. However, it could easily be turned into a hunting club.
Right. Same type of activity, different title.
Right.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
shooting is shooting. If I own the property there, I can shoot my gun.
Right.
So, any other questions? Any comments for the board, for the staff? There being none, Ms. Christie, roll call vote.
Mr. Little,
No?
Mr. Porsche,
Yes.
Mr. Benson,
No.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Winey,
No.
Ms. Dickerson,
Yes.
Ms. Cobb, Mr. Brock,
Yes.
Ms. Felicia,
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt. 5 for and 5 against.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Okay, 6 for and 5 against.
Motion passes. Item 7C, take appropriate action on the following application. 9340 Tom Bear Road in Ward 3, exception to allow industrial development, solid waste site, construction and debris landfill. Applicant Mark Bell et al., EX-0522, 2018-0143. I will entertain a motion for approval with the conditions. Motion by Coach Williams, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
Properties in South Lake Charles off of Tommy Bear Road and Hams Road. Last month, the board approved an ordinance amendment on this property to allow a revised site plan. At this time, the applicant is requesting an exception to allow a solid waste site, construction and debris landfill on the south 80 acres. The existing borrow pits on the property will be utilized for the construction and debris site. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development. That all appropriate permits must be obtained. That a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? Okay, thank you. We have no blue cards on this item. Any questions or comments by the board? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Item 7D, take appropriate action on the following application. 2800 block of Old Highway 171 in Ward 3, exception to allow a borrow pit, 1 acre. Applicant Dennis Guillory, Edux, EX-0522-0144. I will entertain a motion for approval with the conditions. Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located between Lake Charles and Moss Bluff on Old Highway 171. The applicant is requesting an exception to excavate a 1 acre borrow pit. In order for the applicant to move forward with the borrow pit, he must have approval from the board. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development. That the development must be in accordance with Section 26-122, 1H4I through XIII of the Parish Code of Ordinances. That all appropriate permits must be obtained. That the development adhere to stormwater best management practices. And that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering prior to issuance of a development permit.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation?
I'm Dennis Guillory, 2954 Lakewood Lane. I own the property where we put the borrow pit, and I have 3 reasons for it. One is Hurricane Laura put all the trees down. It just looks bad. The other is it put the trees down east and west, drainage is north and south, and it's practically blocked that whole area there. And everything north and east drains through that property. So the other reason is for drainage. The third reason is to pay for the clearing the land. Because I want to take off the dead trees, the broken trees. I'm going to leave a green border around it. Don't plan on developing it.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Guillory? Thank you, Mr. Guillory. We do have 2 other blue cards in favor of that. There's no opposition.
One of them's my contractor, and he knows it's 50 feet and 50 feet.
All right, good job.
Would that be Matthew Andrews?
If I could shed some light on the,
Name and address for the record, sir.
my name is Matthew Edwards. I'll be the contractor doing the excavation on the site. I was here earlier and heard all the permit issues. For years, we didn't have to do anything to dig. And usually with contractors in this line of business, they're usually in business for about 4 to 5 years. And then they go out of business, turn over. You got the big guys like Kraus and Mannigan that do big contract commercial stuff. They stay in business, but a lot of the little guys don't make it. So they get in and they don't know, or they ask somebody who was in it before, no permits needed, and they take off. I've been doing this 20 years, and we do a professional job, and I guess that's about it. Is there any other questions?
Only if there's a survey on that property.
Is there a survey on the property?
Actually, there was one done quite a while back. They tried to put 138 recreation vehicle park there, and so I bought the land, even though I didn't really want to. Stop that.
One way to do it.
Okay. Thank y'all, appreciate it. We do have another blue card in favor, Ms. Carla Guillory.
I've lived in that neighborhood for 77 years, since, that's the land I was brought home to. And we care about it, and we're trying to do what's best for that. And I call Matt my land decorator. My husband said he's a functional land decorator. So I would say that you could trust him to do a really good job.
It's over.
That he would do a really good job, and he's already cleared a lot right next to us, and we put up a wall of trees, trunks that were left over, and that for animals. And so we're looking to keep it friendly to nature too, and also to keep the water from the Calcasieu to the English Bayou runs across that land. So we really would appreciate it.
Ms. Guillory, your name and address, Ms. Guillory. Ms. Guillory.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Your name and address for the
Oh,
record.
I'm sorry. Carla Guillory, 2954 Lakewood Lane, Lake Charles.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments regarding this item? All those were for? If there's any concerns, all those in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Okay, item 7E, take appropriate action on the following application. 2592 WPA Road in Ward 4, exception to allow a 10-year extension of a borrow pit, total 130-acre pit. Applicant CWC Ranch LLC, case EX-0522-0145. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Motion by Coach Williams, second by Ms. Dickerson. Ms. Tunn.
This property is in northwest Sulphur area off of WPA Road and encompasses approximately 155 acres of land. In 2015, the applicant received approval to excavate a 130-acre borrow pit. In 2018, the applicant came before the board and requested a 3-year extension. The time has expired, therefore the applicant is requesting a 10-year extension for the borrow pit. At this time, no work has commenced on this property. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development must be in accordance with section 26-122 1F4I through XII of the Parish Code of Ordinances, that a road damage bond and the amount determined by the parish engineer must be submitted to the Division of Engineering prior to issuance of a development permit, that permitting is subject to approval from Gravity Drainage District Number 2 of Ward 7, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? Okay. We do have one blue card in favor. Mr. Klein, if you have anything you'd like to state on this matter? Okay. Thank you. Any questions by the board? Mr. Porsche?
Maybe for the staff or for the applicant, I was just talking with Mr. Little, the 10-year, I believe that's the been up here a while. It's the longest I've seen. It's usually 3-year, right, on the initial. So I was just wondering what the conditions are requesting 3 times the length of time if it hasn't started yet. Any
Had requests come up before for the 10 years.
Okay.
Usually those come up when you have a pit that's in this size.
Okay.
So a 130-acre pit, I don't
Sure.
think they'll be able to complete it in 3 years.
Yeah, right.
So therefore, they're asking for a 10-year.
Okay, because we did 3 in 15.
Right.
With knowing it was this size pit. That's what I'm asking.
He had 10 before in 2015.
Okay.
And came before us. We gave him an additional 3 years. So now
Okay.
he's asking for an
Additional 10.
additional
Okay,
10.
that's it.
Okay. We're good. Ms.
Question
Galicia?
for the staff. It says in 2022, he contacted planning to request a 3-year extension, but he hadn't ever met the conditions stipulated in 15 and 18 and never received a permit. So have we addressed those issues?
He has not started commencement of digging the pond,
so that's
so he
why
has
he
not
hasn't
had
met
to
them.
get permits for that yet. When he gets ready to start digging, he'll have to obtain all those conditions.
Okay.
I'm just, are you aware of the 50-foot offset? Just making sure, we're good, okay, all right. If you haven't started digging, now's the time, make sure you got it.
Kevin Downs, 2480 WPA Road, and yes, we're going to go further than 50 feet.
Okay, all right.
Oh, yeah. Also, Tammy, you had said something about it being 155 acres. It's 470 acres.
Where your pond
But the
location is.
the pond
is the
location is, yeah.
155.
Yeah, oh, in
Right,
that
right,
section.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion passes. Item 8, rezonings. 8A, take appropriate action on the following application, 5615 Highway 3059 in Ward 8, rezone from agricultural A1 to multifamily residential R-M to allow multifamily residential development, 192-unit apartment complex. Applicant Brian Gills, case RZ-1221-0219. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tun.
This property is in LeBlue Settlement on Highway 3059. The applicant is requesting to rezone from agricultural to multifamily residential to allow an apartment complex. The apartment units will be 2 and 3 bedroom, 2-bath units, and the development will consist of a community hall, a tennis court, basketball court, and a pool. Should the board approve the rezoning request, the applicant will make application for a variance to allow 192 units and an exception to have an on-site daycare facility. Because the proposed development and density is not consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that all parking and driveways must be hard surfaced, concrete or asphalt, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development and the light source cannot be visible to adjacent properties, that screening must be provided in accordance with Section 26-50 of the Parish Code of Ordinances prior to the completion of the first building, that the development adhere to the stormwater best management practices, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and that permitting is subject to approval from the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development.
Thank you, Ms. Tun. Before we get into the other items, just want to state for the record, there are 3 blue cards in favor and 9 in opposition. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? First blue card.
Mr. Chairman, with those numbers, how about we suggest that the applicant has 5 minutes? Would that be sufficient, Brandon? 5 minutes, and then the other 4 can divide up those 5 minutes. Then the opposition, how about 90 seconds each?
Okay.
Okay.
We shall do it.
Robin Bassoni, 528 Kirby Street in Lake Charles. I'm representing ownership and the engineering firm today. So this development has been in the conceptual phase for a long time. The engineering firm has been working on it for at least 8 years. 8 months. Then taken into consideration is safety, screening, drainage, and we will definitely meet all of the requirements of the parish and DOTD. We've also worked on the wastewater treatment sizing and making sure that we have that placed appropriately. You'll see on the site plan that we've taken a lot into consideration in regards to the development and lifestyle for the residents, walking path, recreational areas, the hall, etc. This is proposed to address the need for housing in the post-hurricane Calcasieu Parish. A lot of development in the history of the area has concentrated on the south side of the parish, knowing that the flooding as the result of our history with Gustav and Ike and storm surge, it is much more favorable to go to the east at this time. The developer's goal for these apartments is for adequate screening. The plan is to provide screening above and beyond the requirement. But I just want to assure you that we will definitely provide the required screening. As you can see by the conceptual images you have, it's going to be very, very nice to serve the residents. I'm available for any other questions you may have as we go through.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we have 2 additional blue cards in favor. Ms. Elowina Woods.
And remind Ms. Woods and the other speakers that they have 2 minutes each.
Okay. 2 minutes, Ms. Woods.
Good afternoon. My name is Elowina G. Woods, and I am an owner or an investor. I live at 5557 Highway 3059. I've been in that address for about 80 years. My husband and I own 33 acres there, and I'm on the gully, and I have never flooded. And my property, the gully goes through my property. And on the other side, the west side of the property, I own 80 feet of that property. It was stated that there's debris and tree limbs there blocking. Well, I have always called my my parish administrators if I had a problem there. So if there's a problem there with debris, then it seemed like those that are having the problem with that should have addressed that with their parish administrators or call Mr. Tony Stelly, because I've called him many times and he has addressed all of my needs. I am a middle school retired principal. I'm a real estate agent, I'm a business owner, and I'm an advocate, local, parish, city, and national. I've always tried to help our people. All my life, I've spent my time in helping people. I want to ask you all to change 5615 Highway 3059 from agriculture to a multifamily zoning in order for us to bring our families back home. We don't have any, all of our children have left. The schools don't have any children. A lot of children have left. A lot of children have left. A lot of children have left. We lost 4,000 students to the hurricane. And those same opponents got petitions, and some of those petitions are fake and false. Because I followed them on the blue.
Excuse me for
yes,
a second.
Yes, sir.
Any more outbursts, sir, I'm going to ask you to remove these people. Thank you. Continue, Ms. Wood.
Yes, sir. I followed them on the blue settlement station where some names were added to that petition, And they came on and said that their names were added falsely, and they wanted to know why those names were there.
We've reached your 2 minutes, Ms. Woods. Thank you.
2 minutes. Thank y'all very much, and please approve our project.
Okay, Ms. Tamika Nelson.
Good afternoon. My name is Tamika Nelson, and I'm here for the 5615 Highway 3059,
Your address for the record, Ms. Nelson.
1613 East School Street. I'm just here to speak on the behalf of the daycare side. I've had daycare, well, I've owned and operated a daycare for 16 years, and coming back after the hurricane, it's been rough. I mean, the daycare that I own and operate right now, I have a waiting list over 32 children. So I know with this property and what they thinking about doing, I would say go forward with the daycare side, because we have children that needs to be in a safe and a secure environment. And if this gets passed, I would love to see a daycare on this property, because we need them. We down like really bad with daycares. And I have 2 in Lake Charles already. We need way more than that. And this little area will be perfect for that.
Yes, yes, sir. Yeah, the people right now are in favor of it. Okay. Any questions for Ms. Nelson? Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Now we have 9 against. Corey Leger.
And again, Mr. Chairman, you would do the amount of speakers, we're doing a minute and a half.
Short time.
90 seconds, sir.
Yep, my name is Corey Leger. My family and I, we live at 1782 Clo Drive. It's that house that borders that property. So we're talking about 800 people, 400 cars passing right where my 6-year-old and my 2-year-old play. That looked like a multi-story level building. They're gonna be standing and staring down on my kids when we're trying to have our evenings. I can't have that. We're out in LeBlue because we enjoy raising our kids safely in a rural area. People like to go out there and retire in the peace and quiet, okay? The zoning staff, they said it best. They recommended denial. The development and density is not consistent with the character of the area, and this is our primary objection. The area is made up is single-family homes and ag land. We moved here to raise our kids safely. This project doesn't fit the area. There are no sidewalks. There are no stores. There are no grocery stores. There's no restaurants. These people are gonna be walking on the ditch on Highway 3059, there's nothing to go to. The traffic is going 55, 65 miles an hour. It's not safe. It's not the right area for this type of project. It needs to be in an area that is better suited in the parish. Property values. We enjoy the rural setting. It's why we're out here. It's safe to say we would not have built or purchased our homes if this complex already existed. After the hurricane, we poured our savings into our homes to pay for what insurance would not. We're desperately trying to save the equity that we have left. Perception is reality, and the presence of this complex will greatly destroy our home
Mr.
values.
Leger. You reached your point.
Thank you
sir.
very
Any
much.
questions for Mr. Leger? Okay. Joey Alseed. And as Mr. Alseed approaches the podium, please hold applause and cheering down. We are in order, and we need to maintain this. Mr. Alseed?
Joey Alseed, 5594 Highway 3059, Lake Charles. I know the time is limited, but before I start, I'd like everybody that's opposed to this project to raise your hand. Thank you. I've lived in the city limits of Lake Charles all my life. About 7 or 8 years ago, I purchased 36 acres directly across the street from this site. And I did so primarily because of the way it's zoned, the location, agricultural, single family. Built my home there, do a little bit of farming, not commercially. I have a pond that was built way before the time frame, so we're good there. But this area, there's one way in, one way out from the Blue Settlement. The Blue Settlement starts just to the east of us. Everybody going to Lake Charles, Sulphur, Westlake, anywhere, when they leave, they have to come that way. That's just too much of a project for this area. Like planning says, it doesn't fit. So I'm asking respectfully that y'all agree with the planning and deny this permit. Thank you.
Mr. Alcide? Any questions from Mr. Alcide? Okay. Next blue card, Leo Colquitt Jr.
How y'all doing? My name is Leo Colquitt Jr. My property is 5621 Emerald Drive. I have property on Clow. I grew up there all my life. Again, the traffic is going to be horrible. We have a volunteer fire department, so that's not on staff to hold that accommodate people. The overcrowding of my school, I have a son that goes there. They're jam-packed in the schools. There's no food in the area. There's no stores in the area. You're going to clog up the drainage. And then she says that there's going to be some, screening. Once they're not able to fill these 198 apartments or however many apartments, it's eventually going to turn into a Section 8. You're going to bring the wrong type of people into a rural area. It won't be rural anymore. It's going to be horrible. It's already slowly getting in and out of there. You only have River Road, which leads to 171. You have 3059, which leads out to I-10. And then the other way is to go to I-Way. You're just going to jam up the area. It's just not going to be a positive impact on our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colquitt. Next blue card, Diana Alcide. Thank you, ma'am. Bradley Lower.
Bradley Lower, 1504 Ivor Bro, and I own a home on Chloe as well, where my in-laws moved in for the same reasons, same sentiments. This is why we have zoning, so that things don't flip-flop. We buy a house on Chloe, out in the country, retire in for your in-laws. You don't want to change that 1 year later, you know. I care, everybody knows me, I'm Dr. Lower. I care about people. If you want to develop the area, sure, single-family homes that people can afford, like other people have. That would be a great development for our community, for what we need. I don't think we need a major development where it's not supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lower. Sean Touchette.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sean Touchette, 5598 Highway 3059. I am the son-in-law of Joey Alcide. I also have the same sentiment. I live across the street, directly across the street from where this is planned to be developed. Luckily, I have trees that are blocking the path. Otherwise, that would be what I look at out my front door. I, again, believe that this is not the right place for this. This is single-family dwellings in that area, which is why we chose to build our house out there 4 years ago. I'm raising a family out there. I have a wife that's pregnant. We expect a new baby this year. This is why we moved out there. We lived inside the city for quite some time. I've been in law enforcement for 18 years. Developments like this just breed all types of bad things, criminal activities and things of that nature. I know developers don't necessarily believe that when they are developing this, but that's what they turn into. There's traffic issues that are associated with something like this because there's no egress for all of those people and all of those cars. And all of the wrecks will happen right in front of my house. And I will have to deal with all the crime, as well as the folks on Clo and all of that beautiful neighborhood to the east of this property. they're going to have to deal with all of that crime that is going to be brought in by all of these folks that they have there. Again, I believe that the development should be denied, which is why all these people are here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lane Saunier?
Hi, my name is Lori Sanjay, 6090 Corbella Road. We are asking that this motion please get denied. For one, our traffic is severely crazy now. For two, our schools cannot handle this. Three, we've called down to the police jury to get us something for our kids to do out there. They didn't allow it. Our kids don't even have a park except for the White Oak Park, which they just refixed. They wouldn't even build us a church out there. There is no way that, and then our drainage system sucks. Our school buses can't handle no more. We have no bus drivers. They have no teachers. Our kids don't get off the bus till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So there's no way that we can put other kids on these buses out here. And plus, our crime rate out there is crazy. We can't even get a cop there in 15, 20 minutes when we need it. And I was with the LeBlue Fire Department for 12 years. And back then, we had volunteers, and now we have no volunteers. So that's stuff that needs to be thought about, too. And she said a daycare. And, I mean, and it's going to bring in all kind of people. And they can have a pool in LeBlue when our kids can't. I mean, it's not fair. It's really not fair. And like I said, we're all out there. We're all in single families. We grew up there. My husband's been out there for all his life. We have. Our kids went to LeBlue, then they went to Iowa. But we don't, the schools can't handle it. None of the schools can. So please don't let this go through. We're asking.
Thank you, Ms. Saunier.
Thank you.
Dick Whitfield?
My name's Dick Whitfield. I live at 2582 Hardy Road. I've been out there over 20 years. Built my house out there on 10 acres, just like most everybody else. We came there for the quiet and the country. And it's been quiet and country. And I know everybody else has said, okay, but I want to make 2 points. This is a small cadre of the people that don't want this. Everybody that lives out there is there for the country and the rural life. And to draw an analysis on the change for driving, if you went down 3059 to go to work in the morning and there's 600 cars there backed up at Pujo and 3059, have a good day. One more analogy I want to leave with you. This building is an atomic bomb to that community. It destroys it. The closer you are to it, the tougher it is. But it's going to get us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitfield.
Anybody have any questions?
Haley Lindsay?
Hi, my name is Haley Lindsay. I live on 1694 Chloe Drive. Public speaking is not my forte, nor is not saying entirely too much. So I am from Natchitoches, Louisiana. I'm from deep, deep in the woods. Whenever I moved to Lake Charles, I had a dream. And it was to become a welder, to become a business owner, to own a home somewhere that was very similar to my home. I found that in LeBlue, and I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional because this is just extremely disappointing to purchase a home. At 24 years old, I worked so hard to purchase that home. You don't get that lucky, especially in a neighborhood with people like this. These people are incredible. They are amazing. And it has been said that we are selfish because we don't want people to have somewhere to live, and that's not the case. What's selfish is the people who have already spent their life savings, like Mr. Leje said, the people who have built this community around family and loved ones, and this is all being, it's at stake right now. This building is right at my property line. So the back of my property, there is a canal, there's a drainage canal. The problem is when it rains like it normally does, it's a drought right now. Whenever it rains like it typically does in Lake Charles, my backyard floods to the point that I haven't been able to mow sometimes for a year at a time. If this happens, my home will now
You've reached
flood.
your 2 minutes, your 90 seconds.
Thank you.
ma'am.
Y'all please don't
Thank you.
approve this.
Ms. Pisoni?
Mr. Chairman, one of the opponents they have a petition. I was going to pass this around.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I just want to say I appreciate the board's service to the parish, and I know it's important, and I know how much work you guys put in researching the projects that are proposed, and nobody appreciates it quite like I do. The ownership asked me to give, and I'll start on this end, some photographs of what the front entrance will look like, cobblestone street, and the circle part. This will be what is seen from Highway 3059. There will be a 7-foot fence for privacy around, in addition to a tree line. Again, drainage, it will definitely be addressed in our applications through DOTD and parish engineering. And that DOTD permit does also include the traffic analysis. There's really no way for me to address the conception of the increase in crime or school crowding. Those are issues that are or should be addressed by our local law enforcement and our school board, and are not necessarily zoning questions. But I understand you've received a lot of information in regards to zoning questions. But I just want you to know that, as you can see with the conceptual and the proposed site plan that development has done, the developers and ownership is proposing what we consider to be a top-notch project. And we appreciate your consideration and your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pisoni. Any questions for Ms. Pisoni? Mr. Little?
Should this project go through, what's completion date?
So I don't have that timeline for
2
you.
years,
But
3 years, 10 years?
I can walk to ownership and see if they have that in their minds. But he has told me that the 48 units will be what is built first.
Okay.
I got a question.
It's just a reason, 192.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. What we're proposing,
Sir,
the
your
total
name
is
and address for the record?
Brian, and my address is 2311
So
Second
you're the
Avenue.
applicant?
Sorry?
You are the applicant?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. And what I'm proposing is the first set of apartments is just the first set on there. It will total 196, maybe in a 3-year span, but the first set is for 48, and then we're going to consider the drainage. The drainage is our biggest part of the project. So as you see, our retention pond it's 24 by 780 square foot to make sure the drainage is the first thing we take care of. And like I said, we do have that first 48 to set up to start with. But we'll have a privacy fence that's starting on our property that the adjacent property can tie into that fence if they would like to start to set their own fence up. Also, we will have, from there is where our setbacks start, and then we'll have a walking trail and then a tree line before we even get into starting any apartments are multifamily, so they won't see it, even though it's 7-story. We'll have our trees left there to block the apartments. So they won't see it from the road, and they also won't see it from their property on Clove Drive as well.
Any questions?
And I do have a signature as well of people who live on our road in Emerald that were okay.
Mr. Vincent, you have a question?
Well, part of my question was, because is it the apartments or the townhouses, whatever they are, going down the road behind, say, Mr. Leger's house, are they 2-story?
No, sir, those are sets of 8 units. Those are 8 units on the east side, where the property are. Those will be 1-story on the east side, and then on the west side where Ms. Wood's property is, that's where the 2 stories are set up at, located.
Up against the road, the corner up against the road, is that 1-story or 2-story?
That the corner of east or west. The front part is like office space. That's 1-story. The front part is office space for where they will come in, and people can lease out the office space if they want to, and the daycare is there. That's all 1-story. The 2-story part will not start until the back part, the back area.
That's
Well,
okay.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
Mr.
north or south.
Mr. Chairman and staff, I know this question has been asked before in reference to those who were against this project. I'd like to see the hands of those who are supporting this project. We still got a whole arm full of people out there.
Any other questions?
Didn't hear Coach Williams' question.
His question was, who was here in support of this project? So,
Ask them if they live in the neighborhood. How many of them live in our neighborhood?
any other questions? Mr.
I
Porcher?
have some just comments on, you could be seated. I didn't have questions for the applicant. Just in general comments, if y'all still have questions for the applicant, I'll wait.
I don't think.
Just looking at the overall project, on the aerial map, I can understand the staff's concerns with the density. Just a quick count, I counted 80 to 90 roofs, dwellings, units, if we will, in this overall aerial map. And this one project would more than double the density of this large tract here, this area. The other thing I'm noticing on the apartments, I have some familiarity with the apartment development, is that the density for 192 units, because they're all 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, is extremely high for most 192 unit developments. They usually have a good mix of 1-1s, 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and then 2-2s and some 3-2s. Usually they're more on the 1-1, 2-2 side. So even for 192 unit development, it's a really high density for 192 units, which 192 units is very high for the area. So I was just trying to wrap my head around it, noticing that I'm sure the developers had their reasoning, but
I can answer that for you.
No, sir.
just that's my concerns is 192 units. And that has always kind of played into my thought process just in general with the parish. We approve so many units per acre, but I would, if you're talking about 4 units per acre or 7 units per acre, 3 2s of 7 3-bedroom, 2-bath units is a much higher density than 7 1-bedroom, 1-bath. So I've had that discussion with the city as well, but so that's just my comments on it. It's a high density 192, which is a very high density compared to the area. You're more than doubling the units of occupancy in the area.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I just have a comment. It's not controversial. It's really nice to see people come out and have the freedom to be able to speak and care about where they live and have their voice. I just appreciate that freedom. I'm glad people are out here expressing that.
Ms. Christie, roll call vote.
Ms. Whitey? Yes. Ms. Dickerson? No. Ms. Cobb? Yes. Mr. Dubrow?
No.
Ms. Felicia?
No.
Ms. Hyatt?
No.
Mr. Porsche?
No.
Mr. Vincent?
No.
Mr. Williams? 3, 4, and 7 against.
Motion fails. The meeting is still in order. We'll take a 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess?
Still have business. We shall resume. Oh, I didn't see him get up. I'll give you that break.
That's not 5 minutes. That's not 5 minutes.
It is.
It is really.
How do I get this thing back? I want to go back there like what you got. I'm not deleting it at all.
Did you hit the top left one?
We got 3 more items.
Have to redo the.
Yeah, but I want that on the end. I want this right here. There it is.
Oh, he can't figure out his computer.
Modern
No
technology.
more blue cards.
I started off with a
That could have
manual
gotten rowdy.
typewriter. Don't give me.
That could have gotten rowdy.
Mr. Gaff. Item 8B, take appropriate action on the following application. 171 South Side Street in Ward 4, amend ordinance 7422, case RZ-1121-0214, to remove stipulation number 4, which states that all parking and driveways must be hard surfaced, asphalt or concrete. The applicant, the succession of Edward Denton Bolton, case RZ-0522-0232. I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Dickerson, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
Property is located in Carlos. The applicant came before us last year to get the property rezoned from agricultural to multifamily residential with the condition that all parking and drives must be hard surface. At this time, the applicant would like to remove that condition to allow aggregate surface. Because there is no evidence of a hardship, the staff recommends the request be denied.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation?
Nathan Jogno, 7530 Shoepick Road. Yes, I'm asking for that. Hadn't planned on putting in concrete. That was a stipulation as for the variance or rezone. Putting the budget together for this project, the costs have gone up significantly, and this makes it really infeasible. So this is a small patio home community in Carlos, and looking at the difference between concrete and gravel is about $175,000, $170,000, which makes this project infeasible, and I can't pass that on to the residents. And if I could, it would raise their rents by 10% in an already high rent market. So really, this decision tonight is whether I go forward with this. The property has not been purchased. It's in succession and it's gone through rounds and rounds of getting the title clear. So I still have the option of not buying it. So is it a hardship? No. But does it make it feasible for me to do this project? No. So I'm asking you to reconsider that. I did send some pictures. Hopefully you saw those as the alternative. Please, grant this request, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Jogno? Okay, there being none. Any questions for the staff?
Comments?
Comment?
In regards to the area, the Carlos area, this will probably be the first one of its kind out in the Carlos area that I'm aware of. There are some homes, some patio homes out there, but nothing with a multifamily such as this. It's in a location that's off the main road. You have to go down that road to be able to see this. I do understand that we are trying as a parish to bring everything up to scale for hard surfacing. The other thing in this area is drainage, the permeability of the soil with the concrete versus the gravel plays a part in it. But this would be a project for this area that would be good for the Carlos community.
Okay,
Can I add a few more comments? Is that okay?
that's it. Okay. Anything else, Mr.? Nope. Okay. Ms. Christie, roll call vote, please.
No, I was asking if I could add to that, no?
Oh, I thought you were asking if there were more.
No, sorry, I wasn't trying to rush you. That's your job.
Mr. Vincent?
Just to make sure I understand, when I was looking at the diagram, is the driveway on the outside or it goes down the middle?
It goes down the middle. And, go ahead, sorry.
And so what you're trying to change is just the entrance or the whole thing?
The whole thing.
The driveway too?
Yeah, and I had this in my notes here, and I understand the interest in it being attractive, and I'm interested in that too. I want to attract quality tenants. The way I see it is, yes, it's a financial thing, but if I have a concrete parking lot, which is essentially everyone's front yard, it looks like a strip mall or a motel. So I don't think it's as attractive, so I will maintain it. And I could, depending on the demand on parking, which the parking well exceeds the ordinance, I think there's roughly 4 parking spots per unit. I could actually add trees, replace some parking spots and add trees if I can make that work. So it'll soften that up even more.
Is there room for expansion?
I don't know, but at that point, it would be too costly to add.
No, I mean, you've got 6 units. Is the property deep enough to put 6 more later?
No, it's Westlake on the other backside.
It's industrial to the north.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Porsche?
Just a question for the staff. What are the parish's concerns with, I mean, I'm looking at it, it's a private development. It actually is beneficial for drainage. You know, I see drawbacks in it on a private side. You know, you're gonna limit tenants with maybe a walker or dust.
High heels.
You know, high heels, inability to keep your car clean. Like, so but that's all private issues to me. It's like, hey, if he's gonna develop this and he's gonna have to drop his rent because he's competing against people with hard surfaces. But as far as the parish, I was wanting to understand the parish concerns with this ordinance.
Well, I think that's part of it, and that's why we started requiring some hard surfacing, is because in developments like this, where you do have traffic, vehicular traffic, creates a dust problem. We get the complaints, and the police drawers get the
From
complaints.
private?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, it makes sense.
And so it's not that we can go in there and we can take care of that issue, because that is a private issue. But we've heard over the years those complaints that's sort of driven us to that sort of why we do that.
Okay. So mostly dust.
That and, potholes and things like that. The developer moves on, it goes to another party, they don't take care of it as well as the next guy. So it just...
Maybe the property tends to decline.
That's correct.
More rapidly.
That's correct. And so that's really, that's our main reason for doing that. And we're trying to increase some value,
Right.
In some of these areas.
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
part of it.
I was just thinking of my concerns with it.
Yeah.
But they were all private concerns.
Yeah.
As far as on the parish level.
Some of those
I
private
understand y'all
concerns, they
eventually
bleed
become
over
public.
into the public.
Yeah, I get it. Sure,
Hence
makes
the reason
sense.
we do that.
Mr. Chairman, we can,
Mr. Jagno, you have anything else?
I just want to respond to that. So about the high yields and the maintenance of it. So it's going to be layered. So it's going to start with a heavier aggregate, a medium, and a fine. So it'll be packed down tight so you can walk with heels or a wheelchair or anything else. So it's not just going to be 1-inch gravel thrown on the ground. So with those fines, you're not going to have dust. And the other thing is this isn't a Family Dollar. You're talking about 40 cars at the most coming in and out twice a day on average. So it's not a high volume. It's not coming in fast. They're not entering off of Highway 27. They're coming in slow. So I don't see dust being a big thing or potholes. And again, my interests are in maintaining this as well. I'm not going to build something just to walk away from it and let it go to pot.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Jagno? None. Okay. Ms. Christie, roll call vote?
Ms. Dickerson?
No.
Ms. Cobb? Mr. DeBrock?
Yes.
Ms. Galicia?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt? Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Porsche?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
No.
Ms. White?
Yes.
8 for and 2 against.
Motion passes. Item 8C, take appropriate action on the following application. 7900 block of Gulf Highway in Ward 3, amend ordinance 7407, case RZ-1021-0212, stipulation number 1, which states that the development adhere to the revised site plan on file with division and planning, Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may reauthorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, to allow a revised site plan dated May 18th, 2022, and to rezone from light commercial, C1, to light industrial, I1, to heavy industrial, I2, to allow industrial development, contractor office and shop, laydown yard, equipment storage yard, and concrete recycling facility. Applicant Keelan Holdings LLC, this is case RZ-0522-0233. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
Property is located in South Lake Charles, encompasses approximately 27 acres of land. In November of last year, the board granted a rezoning to light industrial for Keelan Holdings to sell the property to Dubois Sheet Metal. Keelan Holdings retained the ownership of the 27-acre tract and at this time is requesting to allow a revised site plan and rezone the property to heavy industrial. If the rezoning to heavy industrial is approved, the applicant intends to construct a contractor's office and shop, lay-down yard, equipment storage yard, and a concrete recycling facility. Because there are similar uses and the proposed zoning is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development. That all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or the structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties. That screening must be provided along the north property line and surrounding the concrete crushing area in accordance with Section 26-50 of the Parish Code of Ordinances. That a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering. That all appropriate permits must be obtained. And should the development not obtain a permit within 1 year of police jury approval, the property shall automatically revert to its original zoning classification as per Section 26-127B of the Parish Code of Ordinances.
Thank you, Ms. Tun. Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation? Okay. Any questions?
Question?
Sure.
Why the mobile concrete crushing plant so close to the houses instead of on the other end of the facility?
My name is Tom Gale, 713 Kirby Street, Lake Charles. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. It can be designated anywhere. It was done just sort of as an amendment to the application. It can be moved farther to the south.
And what I see is houses to the north with the south wind blowing and they're crushing concrete 350 foot from these houses in the laydown area and everything else. And you have a future one on the south side, which I guess that future would be a permanent more so than temporary.
The structure on the south side, y'all approved zoning so that it's going to be Dubois sheet metal.
No, I'm talking about there's a future concrete crushing plant.
Okay.
To the
Yeah,
south.
we can move it.
I mean,
That's very feasible.
I mean, I don't have any issues except for that the neighbors are gonna be getting dusted pretty good with
Sure.
noise, the noise area.
No, we can slide all that to the south, and we'll agree to a stipulation that we move it as far to the south as the site is feasible.
Make an amendment to that at this time to have the crushing done to the south side of the property, or
You know, Mr. Little, I really, you guys make me nervous every time y'all start adding stipulations like that on the fly. This still has to go before the police jury. With the rezoning, I would,
okay, I'm good with that.
unless you're really hard set against it or want it done, if that's the case, I'd recommend deferral, and I really hate to see that too.
I get it, it's another policing issue.
50-foot setback.
That's what it comes down to.
Has there been any opposition from the people north of you that own the property?
Not that I'm
About the
aware of. I
dust or
don't know.
anything that you know of?
Well, as the developer's not heard anything, I don't know if anybody from the office.
Not received
We've-
any
we've-
calls.
And there's no blue cards.
Okay.
And no dirt pits.
Okay. Any other questions for the staff? Being the case, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion passes. Okay. Item 8D, take appropriate action on the following application, 3474 Bazile Road in Ward 3. Amend ordinance number 5628 RZ 03-002-09, stipulation number 4, which states upon issuance of a development permit, the solid waste disposal site is for 10 years, and when the landfill is completely filled, whichever comes first, to allow a 10-year extension to an existing solid waste site construction and debris landfill. The applicant is Eric Brandt Peterson Jr. Edux, This is case RZ-0522-0234. I will entertain a motion for approval with the conditions.
Second.
Motion by Coach Williams, second by Ms. Dickerson. Ms. Tunn.
This property is in South Lake Charles, and in 2009, the applicant received approval to have a construction and debris landfill with a condition for 10 years, or when the landfill was completely filled, whichever come first. At this time, the landfill has not reached capacity, therefore the applicant is requesting a 10-year extension. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, and provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development. That the development adhere to the Department of Environmental Quality regulations. That the use be limited to a Type 3 landfill only. Upon issuance of a development permit, the solid waste disposal site is for 10 years or when the landfill is completely filled. And that the petitioner is financially responsible for any future road improvements to accommodate landfill traffic on Bazile Road.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation? Thank you, sir. Any questions by the board or the applicant or staff? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion passes. Item 9, the next item on the agenda is to advise that the police jury took the following action on May 19th, 2022, with reference to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board from May 17th, 2022 meeting. Mark Vale, Tom Abear Road, Planning and Zoning recommended approval, police jury approved. East Creon Lake Properties, Corbina Road, no action taken. Applicant withdrew request prior to the police jury meeting. Item 10, the next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Lyons, second by Ms. We are adjourned.